Good morning. This is the Board of County Commissioners Agenda Review. This is a regular meeting. It is Monday, October 30th, 2023. It is 11:12 p.m. This session is set to go until noon. This is a hybrid meeting. We're at 3000 Pacific Avenue, room 110. For public virtual attendance, you may follow along on the Thurston County YouTube channel. I'm Carolina Mejia. I'm the chair of the board. Vice Chair Ty Menser to my right, Commissioner Gary Edwards to my left. Also in the boardroom, we have interim county manager Robin Campbell, as well as assistant county manager Rob Gelder. Our agenda today is a review of Board of County Commissioners draft agenda for a meeting of October 31st, 2023. In our agenda for Tuesday, October 31st, 2023, we are moving ahead with one item. I'll pass it to Assistant County Manager Robin Campbell.
Thank you, and in the interest of time, I'm going to invite Cameron Mullins to the table to discuss item 3B, which is the approval of a collective bargaining agreement between Thurston County and the Association of Thurston County Deputy Prosecuting Attorneys.
Do you want to go into executive session for this?
No, because this is settled, so.
You haven't voted on it yet.
They have not voted
They have
yet.
voted. The board has not voted. This is my opportunity to brief you about the content of
Right.
what we've always done that in executive session in my.
So apparently we need to go into executive session on this. And the agreement is settled.
It's not settled until the board votes on it tomorrow. This time it's not completely
Okay,
settled.
and so going into executive session, if you'll get me the RCW, I'll announce it.
Pulling it up now.
And is that gonna run into any kind of legal issues that we didn't have it on the?
No, you can declare an executive
Okay,
session at any
thank you.
time. So, doo-doo-doo.
Since we're calling this one, we'll just mute and turn off the cameras for Zoom, and then that way we are not having to kick everyone out. And
Right, is there anyone in the room right now that?
We're leaving. I'm just saving my.
we'll call you back in a second. Thank you.
It's not the right one. Good grief. So many reasons to hold an executive session.
After she says the thing. Oh, wait, no, did you already say the thing?
No, not yet.
Oh.
She says something.
After Rob makes his legal speech.
Okay. So, Commissioner, would you like me to announce it?
Oh, I'll announce it. Do you have it
Alright.
pulled up?
I do.
And how much time is required?
15 minutes
15
at
minutes.
most.
Yes.
So
Okay.
it's this one.
So we are going into closed session per RCW 42.30.140 subsection 4A, collective bargaining sessions, or B, that portion of a meeting during which the governing body is planning or adopting the strategy or position to be taken by the governing body during the course of any collective bargaining. This is collective bargaining contracts, and this will take approximately 15 minutes. Commissioners' action may follow. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we are back from closed session. It is 11:23. No commissioners' action follows. We were in closed session per RCW 42.30.140 subsection 4A, collective bargaining sessions, or B, that portion of a meeting during which the governing body is planning or adopting the strategy or position to be taken by the governing body during the course of any collective bargaining contracts. Sorry, I was having issues like.
No action will follow.
And no action follows. Yep. Okay, so going back to our regular agenda. So we'll call the meeting to order at 2 p.m. The Pledge of Allegiance to be led by Commissioner Edwards. There's the approval of the Tuesday, October 31st, 2023 agenda. There will be an opportunity for the public to address the board and county manager's update. County manager, anything that you're going to be following up on?
No update from me at this time, but as you are aware, we may have many members of the unions present.
Thank you. Okay, any questions? Moving on to consent items A through B. Item 3A is the approval of the voucher list for the week of October 9th.
This is your regular weekly approval of all vouchers issued during the week of October 9th. It is on consent. There are no atrium items for tenant improvements on this voucher list.
Any questions?
Yes, I do. There's an issue on there, I think, on building 4 on the parking lot. It's about $60,000. And I'm wondering what that is. It's to the owner of this building, but it refers to building 4 parking, I think. I don't
I'll
have that
have
in
to
front of
look
me
that
right
up.
now. Okay,
Yeah, I'll look that up and get back to you on that.
okay, thank you.
Okay. Does this item 3A need to be removed from the consent agenda?
I don't know that, I don't know, I mean, I'm not,
I need to look it up, see what it is.
Commissioner Mensinger, questions? Okay, moving on to item 3B, Human Resources, is to approve the collective bargaining agreement between Thurston County and the Association of Thurston County Deputy Prosecuting Attorneys.
This is the item that you just discussed with Cameron, and this vote will include work on the contract, and we cannot discuss details until after you voted on it.
Okay. Questions?
no questions, thank you.
Okay, moving on to department items. 4A from the Commissioner's Office, Economic Development District Resolution.
You have had recent work sessions with Jenica and Michael Cade regarding joining a regional economic development district. You're joining with other counties for this district, and this will give us an edge on obtaining, thank you, on obtaining grants and funding for projects that promote economic development in our region. At no cost to the county, I may add.
Thank you. And we had a briefing about this. My days are kind of convoluted, but Jenica, when did we have the briefing about this?
A few weeks ago, we've had 3 different briefings between 2021 and 2023.
Okay, questions? Commissioner Edwards?
I don't know if it's a question or not, but it's, we're joining with others and creating this new district, if I, right?
That's
Right?
correct.
So it's just not, we're not just joining in on something, we're actually creating a new economic development district.
Right. The other counties had a economic development district that had gone defunct, so the now 4 counties, is that right, Jenica? Is it Grays?
Yes, it's Grays Harbor, Mason, Pacific, and Thurston.
Right, are now going to join together to form a new consolidated district.
Thank you.
Questions? No questions for me, thank you. Okay, item 4B is the change order request, and this is our regular standing item.
It's a standing item to move on.
It is, and I'm going to recommend that we move it out another week. We are finding time, Sherry is in negotiation on this. We think that it is, coming very close to an agreement. They have a proposed change order that we should see this week.
No
Questions?
No.
Okay. Community Planning and Economic Development, item 5A is to set a public hearing for a comprehensive plan docket item CPA-4 Capital Improvement Program.
Believe that this item is for the amended formation of the, Andrew, help me out here, the stormwater advisory.
No, so this is going to be the setting the public hearing for the capital improvement program adoption and repeal of last year's CIP.
CIP, I should have read the whole thing. The next one's the other one. So this is on your capital improvement program. This is the annual action you take, and this will be a public hearing on the same evening as your public hearings on the budget, because these are passed at the same time.
Thank you. Questions?
No questions.
Questions? No questions for me, thank you. And you have the next item as well. Item 5B is to the final action for the development code docket item A-19, wireless code update.
This is a monumental action, if I may say. This is an update to the wireless facility regulations to bring them into compliance with federal regulations. You've been working on this code amendment for quite some time, and tomorrow it will be before you for final adoption. And Andrew, would you like to fill in the gaps, please?
And pretty much what I have to add is we have addressed the 3 remaining items that we started discussing at the beginning of August, the public noticing, the radio frequency testing, as well as the setbacks. And all those changes that the board has reviewed have been included within this ordinance before you.
Questions? Commissioner Edwards?
I'm kind of looking to Commissioner Mensah on that, see if he's got any questions.
Questions?
I was just gonna ask if there was, you kind of answered it, I just wanted to ask if there was any wrinkles in terms of adopting in code language the policy direction that the board gave on those last items. Sounds like no.
Nope. Well, the administrative policy will just remain a administrative policy for noticing, but the setback standards and the radio frequency standards have been incorporated into the ordinance, and those will be codified with the adoption.
Okay, because some of the, like, at least one of the things, if not two, at least one of the things that we directed was something kind of different, creative to some degree, and just wanted to make sure we didn't hit any legal snags there or drafting obstacles.
Nope. I provided the draft language to Ken, and he was able to tweak it a little bit, but otherwise it was ready to go, and he had no issues with it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Item 5C is to request for proposals for Thurston County Periodic Comprehensive Plan Update.
This item allows the Community Planning and Economic Development Department to issue an RFP to secure professional services that will assist the county in completing certain components of the comprehensive plan update over the course of the next few years. And if I understand, this will create a roster, if you will, of professional service providers that the department can draw on according to their expertise and what is needed for certain components of the plan as they work on them. Maya, would you please tell the board a little more?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Maya Teeple, Senior Planner with Community Planning. So this request for proposals is to solicit professional services related to the comprehensive plan. There are a couple of items included in this request for proposals, including the environmental review, the housing element updates, the climate change element updates, and future land use map and corresponding updates related to that. As the acting county manager mentioned, we would get a list of bids from this, and we can either select one or several consultants depending on their qualifications and their proposals. So there's great flexibility to the county, and the funding for this professional services will come from the Washington State Department of Commerce grant. So there are 2 grants that we are eligible and have applied for, non-competitive grants for the periodic update and for climate, and those would provide funding enough to support these professional services. And happy to answer any questions.
Questions, Commissioner Edwards? Questions, Commissioner Menzer?
I think you just answered it, but I just wanted to make sure, connecting the dots, that the board made a budget decision to not grant additional money beyond the grant revenue, but you're saying that these RFP proposals would fall within would have to be contained and could be contained within the 350,000 or whatever that number was.
That's correct. We're expecting 700,000 through the periodic update grant, and then another 300,000 for the climate grant, both through the Department of Commerce, and those would be enough to support the professional services as written in this RFP.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to corrections. Item 6A is to waive competitive bidding requirements for inmate employment services, and we have Chief Deputy Trevor Davis joining us here this morning.
Thank you. So this item would allow the sheriff to sign a contract with the Pac Mountain Workforce Development Council. The services are for pre-employment training for inmates, which includes things like job search, resume writing, and also connects them to services. Corrections went out with an RFP and received no bidders. So they have worked with our internal auditor, who has agreed that a waiver for competitive bidding is appropriate. And this would allow the sheriff to enter a 5-year agreement, 1 year with 4 one-year increments. Would you like to add anything?
You got it, Commissioner.
Okay. Any questions?
No questions, thank you.
Looks good. Thank you. You too.
That's as quick as we can do it.
I know. And that's good.
Okay, moving on to Public Health and Social Services. Item 7A is the 2023 through 2025 contract for parenting classes with family education and support services for criminal justice treatment account funds.
This item is pretty straightforward. It is an award for the family education and support services to continue to provide parenting classes to parents who are justice involved and have substance abuse issues. And this waives bidding because we have an existing contract with this organization that has been extremely successful. And it would be a best practice, if you will, to continue to work with this particular organization. Shaylin, would you like to say more about this?
Nope, that was a great summary. Thanks.
Thank you. Questions? Commissioner Edwards?
Is this, do we put this kind of stuff on consent once in a while? Or is it,
We
I
could,
mean, it was under the 50,000, that's the only reason.
it is, we could move it to consent if you would like.
Let's
do it.
Yeah, consent,
Okay.
all right.
I'm looking out for my seatmate over here.
long meeting.
Okay. Item 7B is Housing Services Agreement with Thurston Mason Behavioral Health Administrative Service Organization for treatment sales tax funds.
This item is to contract with the BHASO. The county has been working with the BHASO to purchase a house. And I'm going to ask Shaylin to say more about the housing. However, it has taken us some time to get all of the legal review that makes sure that we're doing everything appropriately. The payment will be out of treatment sales tax. So I believe it's supportive housing for people with behavioral health issues. Shaylin, is that right?
Yes, that's correct. And so, yeah, everything you just said was correct. There was no agreement at the time back when the board was adjusting for the 2023 TST budget. $500,000 was set aside for a project like this. But as you mentioned, there was no agreement in place at that time. So this agreement would provide $500,000 in one-time TST funds to the ASO for the purchase of and necessary improvements to a 3-bedroom residential home within walking distance to a bus line in Thurston County, in which to house individuals who are participating in a coordinated chemical dependency or mental health treatment program.
Questions? Commissioner Edwards?
No questions.
Questions, Commissioner Messner? No questions for me, thank you.
Thanks.
Moving on to item 7C is contracts and contract amendments of consolidated homeless grant inflationary funds.
This item is to award funding to 11 nonprofit organizations to distribute money that the county is receiving from the state of Washington. It's my understanding that this funding is backfill for our loss in recording fees specifically related to housing and supportive housing services. And the grant money came with a very clear requirement that it must be used in support to maintain staffing in our nonprofit organizations that we're currently working with. So these 11 awards do precisely that. They distribute the funding based on the number of FTEs, and the intent is to use it for salary increases for those FTEs. Keely can tell you more about it.
I think you did a great job summarizing that. Yeah, these are just they are backfill. They are these specific funds are for workforce stabilization. So we just brought this matter before the Regional Housing Council last week, and it was approved for moving forward to Board of County Commissioners. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
No questions, thank you.
Questions?
No.
No questions, thank you, Keely. Okay, item 7D is to set a public hearing for the 2022 Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report.
Thank you. The county receives, just hit a total blank. We receive CDBG, which is Community Development Block Grant, and home funding from the federal government. And with that funding comes a requirement to hold an annual public hearing on the Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report. So this item sets the public hearing for November 21st on that item. And Tom, would you like to say a little more about this?
Yeah, thank you. That is correct. So we come to you twice a year, and HUD requires us to have these public hearings. The first one we generally have in late June, early July. That is when we identify how we're going to spend the funds, and so we had that for our annual action plan. This is the public hearing we have when we report on how we spent those funds. So this report is for the program year between September 1st, 2022 through August 31st, 2023. So we have a report. There's a 15-day public comment period. That report will be posted to our website on or about November 3rd and be available for public comment, followed by the public hearing. We're required to submit this plan to HUD by the end of November 30th. So, but happy to answer any other questions.
Thank you. Questions?
No questions, thank you.
Questions? Okay. Moving on to Public Works, item 8A.
This item is also to set a public hearing. This one will be on November 28th. And the topic of the public hearing will be to consider the transferring of portions of county roads to the Confederated Tribes of the Chehalis Reservation. Go ahead, Matt.
Matt Huntsman, County Engineer, Becky Kahn, Traffic Engineer. Together we are Team Road Transfer. So the roads that we're considering transferring include Anderson Road, south of US 12, 195th Avenue, east of Anderson Road, 188th, between Anderson Road and Moon Road, south of US 12, and 183rd west of Moon Road. We're requesting to set the public hearing for November 28th. This is more than a month of advance notice. We're advertising in Olympian and the Chronicle newspapers. Information will be available on the website. We're putting together a news release. The notice will be provided to the Chehalis tribe to share as well. And then, of course, we'll have the giant yellow signs posted on the roads in the field. So drivers driving by will know that there's a public hearing upcoming regarding those roads. With that, be happy to answer any questions.
Questions? Commissioner Edwards.
Do you feel you've got it pretty well worked out on this whole thing? Or is there still a few questions?
I feel it's pretty well worked out. I feel the prosecuting attorney's office has gone through this agreement very well. Public Works staff has gone through it. We're ready.
Citizens in the area? That's what the public hearing.
That's what I was gonna say. That's what the public hearing is gonna be for.
No, nothing troubling.
Questions, Commissioner Munster?
No.
No questions for me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Item 8B is to set a public hearing to consider updates to Thurston County water and sewer utility rates and charges.
This item is directly connected to the board's resolution that has consolidated our utilities, our water and sewer utilities. And part of that consolidation requires that we reconfigure the rates. So there is a public hearing on December 5th. Again, that coincides with public hearings on the budget, as this is a revenue that will support the budget that the board will enact. And I'm gonna turn to Tim to tell you a little bit more about the rates.
Thank you, Robin. Tim Wilson with Public Works. Nothing really to add to that overview. I'd be happy to answer any questions the board may have.
Thank you. Questions, Commissioner Edwards?
Tim, has this been agreed upon by all recipients of the rate change?
This information has been shared with the current utility advisory committees. For the utilities, we also have information out and have had information out on our county's utility webpage, and we've shared bill inserts with all ratepayers. So this public hearing would be an opportunity for ratepayers to come forward and provide comments.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Questions? Okay, no questions for me. Thank you. Item 8C is to set a public hearing to consider proposed 2024 through 2025 rate increases for Lake Lawrence Management District number 22.
Yes, yet another public hearing being set. This one specifically regarding the Lake Lawrence Lake Management District. This is to increase the rates for the district Again, it is set on December 5th, which coincides with the revenue hearings on the budget that the board is anticipating to adopt in December. And these rates have been recommended both by staff and by the Lake Lawrence Steering Committee. I can tell you more about that.
Thank you, Robin. I would just add that the resolution that formed the Lake Lawrence Management District allows for annual inflationary escalation of between 1% and 5%. So this is well within that range. And as Robin mentioned, this is coming on the recommendation of the committee for Lake Lawrence.
Thank you. Questions?
No questions, thank you.
Questions? No questions for me? Okay, then we will review our standing items. We do have 2 public hearings starting at 3:30. The first public hearing is a public hearing with the City of Yelm and Thurston County Joint Plan Update.
So this item is the public hearing regarding the Yelm and Thurston County Joint Plan update. We have the motion to close the public hearing, but of course the board does have the option of adopting the joint plan at that time, depending on your preference. You've had, go ahead.
I don't believe that would be an option for.
No, not on this one.
Because it again would fall under that once per year comprehensive planning.
This is one of those.
Mhm.
Thank you
So we
for
can close-
clarifying that.
Close the hearing,
Yep.
and then.
We'll adopt them all at once.
Okay. Questions?
No questions.
Amelia, anything you need to add for this one?
Nope, that's perfect. Thank you.
Have we received any public comment?
Well, we did during the planning commission process, but we have not received any right now during the board hearing process.
Thank you. Okay. Moving on to item B, second public hearing is from Public Works on an ordinance to amend Thurston County Code, Chapter 8.22.010. And this is in regards to the Solid Waste Advisory Committee.
Yes, this is the public hearing on the ordinance to address the restructure of the Solid Waste Advisory Committee. The committee has recommended that you retain 15 members and that you make adjustments to allow for appointments from 5 county commissioners instead of 3. And Jeff, perhaps you'd like to add a little more to this item.
Certainly. Jeff Bickford, Solid Waste Manager. Yeah, so basically the changes that were recommended by the SWAC that's up for consideration would be continuing to hold our SWAC at 15 members as it currently exists, adding an agricultural representative as is required by the state, and then changing the number of citizen representatives, which currently lies at 3, 1 for each commissioner district, reducing that from 3 to 2, with those 2 being from just 2 different districts. This is not specifically any particular ones, but just being from separate ones. And to date, we have not received any public input of any type.
Okay. Questions, Commissioner Edwards?
Yes, is there any chance that we could include in the description something to the effect that this is being brought about by change in the number of county commissioners or something, just some little tiny thing just to let people know what it's about. Because when you just do it by code without anything to indicate what might be up, it could be speculated, that's all.
We could certainly include in the description that it's specifically about the advisory committee.
Yeah, even
Yeah.
that would be fine. Just to clarify a little bit. So somebody that's worried about their rates going up or something like that,
Right,
clarification is all.
sure.
Thank you. Thank you, Jeff. That's all.
Okay, questions? No questions for me? Okay. So then that will conclude our agenda for tomorrow. Next is commissioner items. Are there any commissioner items commissioners would like to discuss for the next 7 minutes?
Discuss other than Robin said she was gonna ask about that.
I have to ask a
Oh, you
question.
still need to
I
ask
can't
somebody
look at
else.
it
I thought
and
maybe
tell
that,
you.
I thought that was your
Nope,
answer.
that's not enough.
Okay.
I've had
Nope,
a few
fine.
people say it's this one, and I just need to make a phone call.
Okay.
I'm wondering how the Secretary of State audit is going. Are they still here? What's the timeline on that?
So the accountability audit, yes, they are still here. They have scheduled entrance interview, I believe on Wednesday, when we are all scheduled to be in the Intercept meeting. So I have not heard back on items regarding REIT, and they have requested items regarding budget process for the last 2 years, and we're gathering that information to get to them. And I'm not sure which other topics they are currently looking at. They hope to wrap up the audit before the end of November.
Thank you.
Just as a clarification, we're not talking about the Secretary of State, we're talking about the state auditor.
State
Auditor, sorry,
Yep.
not
Oh,
Secretary.
okay, I just,
I assumed you
Yeah,
meant the
sorry.
state auditor.
yeah, I just, but for the public.
Yeah.
So have they issued their, I don't know, is it called preliminary report or something before, then the county gets to respond back?
No,
So
no,
that's
we've
what,
seen
that's what,
nothing yet.
that's what we're
We
waiting for.
have not even had the entrance conference yet.
That's
Oh,
next one. That's
so
one.
it's not even going,
That's-
really?
Well, they've been actively asking us for
Oh.
information, and we've been providing items to them. But they haven't, the entrance conference, where they formally say this is all the things we're going to review, I believe that is on Wednesday.
Thank you. Okay. It's 11:56, so we're adjourned.